a video on something that I'm curious about. So, potatoes, once you've peeled them and chopped them, if you're not going to use them straight away, it's best off to keep them in some water in a cool place, e.g. the fridge. So, I was prepping some potatoes this weekend, didn't have enough room in the fridge, so I left these out. It's quite warm at the moment, to say the least. So these were out for 12 hours. And they started to go soft within those 12 hours, so that's some kind of indication of how hot it is at the moment. And they start to deteriorate kind of quite quickly, so you kind of see that kind of happens. And once you've left them out for a few hours and they start to go soft, there's no stopping it really. You can't change the water, put them back in the fridge. They just want to kind of just carry on deteriorating. So all kind of wanting, you just kind of like fall to bits. So what I did notice is that we get these bubbles on top, and I'm curious to know if this is actually starting to ferment. So was there some yeast on the potatoes that started them to ferment? I think maybe. I'm just curious, so I'm going to leave these out for a few days. I'm going to see what happens. There is more. I don't know if we can. Let's just clear those bubbles away, and then if we give the container a knock, we'll be able to see if more bubbles come up from underneath. Oh yeah, I can see a few. I can see a few bubbles, which would suggest that it's releasing carbon dioxide. So is that fermenting? I'm not too sure, but I'm going to leave it for a few days out. I'm going to see what happens. Unless it starts to smell and go awful, then I'll just throw it away. Well, I'll put it on the compost. But I'm just curious, because obviously vodka is made out of potatoes. I haven't looked into how you make vodka from potatoes at all. But you obviously ferment the potatoes in liquid, and then you collect that liquid that's fermented, and then you distill that liquid into a stronger alcohol. So let's kind of see. So they'll get the foam on the top. We'll kind of see what happens. But what I will do is I'll let it ferment a little bit. Well, I say ferment, I don't know if it is fermenting. We'll leave it for a little bit longer, and then what I'll do is I'll put a lid on it. So normally I put it in a jar with an airlock on it, and we'd kind of see what was kind of going on. Airlock or a balloon with a hole in it, just to kind of see if we were getting some kind of lots of bubbles happening. But because I'm not intentionally going to ferment it and do anything with it, I'm just curious. What I'll do is I'll just put a lid on, and then quite airtight, these lids. They're all biscuit containers, so that they're designed to keep biscuits fresh. So if that starts to puff up, we'll know there's a buildup of gas in there and it's started to ferment. So just out of interest. And I kind of think, so I was reading a book on fermenting, and it was talking about fermenting soybeans to make soy sauce. So I wonder if that's kind of like a similar kind of process, because the same thing kind of happens with when you're soaking. If I've stupidly ever soaked some dried peas a little bit too long, they start to ferment, and you can smell that fermentation. But it's not a nice fermentation kind of smell. It's not particularly a nice kind of smell. So maybe that's what happens with beans, and that's what also happens with these potatoes. So potentially, if you left it for long enough, it might be turned into a potato-based soya sauce. Not like wouldn't be soya sauce because it's not made out of soya beans, but like a potato version of it, out of curiosity. So we'll see what happens. There'll be some updates, and we'll see how it goes. So it's had a lid on it. It's puffed up a little bit, and it's been had a lid on it for a couple of days. So let's just have a look. Oh, that's definitely fermenting, isn't it? Oof, that doesn't smell good. That doesn't smell. That just smells. That doesn't smell like it's fermenting, as in like a nice alcohol kind of fermenting. That's just not smelling very good. Oh no, I don't know. That first waft was bad. Second waft's not so terrible. Let's leave it another couple of days and see what happens, eh? So I realised what's happening with this, and it's rotting, isn't it? And it's methane that's the gas that's being released. It's not fermenting, it's rotting. So really, you should be able to light that gas on fire because it's methane. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But it's certainly not fermenting, it's rotting, and that's methane because I'm an idiot. Although, if I ever wanted to collect methane, that's how you do it, isn't it? You just put the vegetable matter in a container with some liquid, and then you poke a hole in that, and with a pipe, and collect that gas in another container. I suppose maybe. So, if I can be bothered sometime, we'll do the experiment. We'll do it again, and those foam that was forming on top of the water, that would be like flammable. So we would be able to get like a lighter like this, and just be able to light that gas, wouldn't we? We wouldn't blow ourselves up because there wouldn't be a lot of gas in there, but those little bubbles would contain methane, and we could pop them with the heat, and then they would set on fire. So maybe we'll do that sometime. So that's success, isn't it?